4 years on from the launch of Ravva and the Cyclops Curse comes its sequel, Ravva and the Phantom Library, where you play as a mage owl, easy for me to say, who comes with a variety of magical attacks to try and find all of the secret treasure, kill all of the enemies, collect all of the coins, and vanquish the evil boss of the library. This is a sequel that evolves the original game in lots of different ways. However, it still pitches itself as a relatively breezy, straightforward and easy pixel art 2D platform adventure. And it reminds me a little bit of what would a Metroidvania game look like if it gave you all of the power-ups and opened up all of the levels right from the very beginning? Because that's what this game does. You have 5 different magic abilities, 4 of which are attacks, and 1 is like a illumination magic eye. And they're all available from the start, and you have to kind of flick with the shoulder buttons between them to access them, which is always slightly clunky, and that was a problem with the first game, and it carries across here. It is slightly more quicker to cycle through though, which is a plus. But you also have 7 levels to choose from straight from the gate, and neither of them are harder or easier than each other. It's just that they lean into a custom mechanic that only appears in that level. So for example, when you're going across the dragon landscapes, you've got these dragon bodies that breathe blue fire. So you just have to go up the ladder and avoid the blue fire where possible, or slip in between gaps where the fire is died down. In the Toyland, where you're in the Jester's Court, it's lots of jester hammers that will pop out if you stand on platforms for too long. Or there's lots of fading in and out boxes which require a bit more rhythmic platforming. In another place, you have the ability to de-ice minecarts that will then slowly move across the screen, which gives you moving platforms. And you don't really have moving platforms in any of the other levels. The thing, though, is it isn't like a continuous build-up of lots of mechanics that when they're introduced, they stay in a level. Because it's not a linear progression, you can choose whatever. These things only appear in that one area and don't appear anywhere else. And so it has this odd flatlining of difficulty that means that the game starts easy and stays easy throughout. And that kind of felt a bit strange because I never felt like I was ever challenged at any point at Ravva in the Phantom Library. And I don't think it could do by the way how it was designed to be played. The different mage abilities that you have is also the other kind of cause for concern, and it was part of my reason why I was a bit negative about the first Ravva game, and the same problem applies here too. And this is that you get 4 magic attacks, and they all point in different directions. So the flame goes diagonally up, there's a melon bomb that will lob something and do area of attack around you. Then there's an ice attack that sits on your head and so will constantly ice, freeze and shatter something that's above you. And these are all great for special blocks. But then you have your magic wand attack, which is upgradable to a 1, 2 and 3 power attack. And they're really good for attacking enemies, and particularly great in boss battles, because bosses are actually really quite easy in this game, and they're very much like a 2-trick pony, and once you know what their tricks are, they're very easy to evade, and it's just a matter of wearing down their HP. Not that you can see it, but you won't really ever be challenged by these bosses at all. The 5th magic ability that you have is this magic eye ability, and this plays into the fact that Ravva, whilst being a 2D platformer, is very much a collectathon, and I had this problem with the first game, and it's just as bad, if not leaning into it more, in the second one. You have to constantly spam this magic eye button all the time, because there's secret coins hidden everywhere. There are secret boxes that can then be smashed for an additional side mission that need to be found everywhere. There are passages that will illuminate when you use your magic eye, and there will also be additional stars or collectibles or fruit or things like that you can collect with your magic eye as it goes along. But they're everywhere in the level, and it's so prevalent everywhere that if you aren't attacking someone, you'll be spamming that bloody magic eye button constantly all the time if you want to get all of the missions completed. And if you don't, and I got bored of it, as I did with the first game, and I knew I would with this as well, I just started to ignore things. I just went, oh well, I just want to play the game. And Ravva then is a succinct an enjoyable 90-minute experience. But this whole kind of going around and finding everything and completing everything, if you're a completionist, this game then doubles its runtime easily, because you're just going around pressing the magic eye button over and over and over and over again, making sure that you've covered every area before you move on. And it slows the game's pacing down to a crawl, and it doesn't really feel very rewarding either. One of the kind of upshots of this is that when you complete all 7 levels, you then move into the 8th final level, which is just the final boss. But before you enter into the final boss, you get to unlock upgrades for your character and your character's main wand shooting ability, depending on how many coins you've collected. So you are incentivized over the course of the game to get as many coins as possible so that you can be as powerful as possible for the final boss. But it feels like a lopsided reward for the amount of time and faff that you're spending trying to get the completionist in. And it's as if Ravva has bent itself too far into the everything's hidden, keep spamming that button, versus the fundamentals of an action platformer that this game is attempting to be. Because when you pull away from the magic eye stuff, actually Ravva, while still being very simple, is very playable. It's got great graphics, and the graphics have really improved versus the first game and the second. You can really see that visual fidelity and extra layers and quality shine. The music is relatively well put together too, quite memorable in some occasions with some of the late 80s chiptune style. And Ravva handles predictably. The owl doesn't have much of a move set and doesn't really jump very far, but it's predictable and it's got good collision detection and things like that. It all makes sense. But it's just that magic eye really slows the game down so that it doesn't feel pacey or engaging. And so that's kind of my beware warning for this, is that if you're coming to this for a retro 2D platformer, yes, it does all of that and it does it quite well, as long as you're not expecting much of a challenge. This is very much a nostalgic, dainty jaunt through rose-tinted glasses with some modern day extras and bonuses thrown in for good measure. If you're hoping, oh good, this is going to be an absolutely fun collectible thon, I don't think it does that very well. So yeah, just hedge your bets and adjust your purchasing accordingly. And I hope that was interesting and informative. And I'll catch you again, hopefully, in another video on Higher Plane Games. Cheers. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.